Thank you very much, Ralf Lüfter. And I would like to open the first statement with Detlef von Daniels, because he didn't have the chance to have a speak. So please, if you have any questions or statement.
Yes. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. By the way, so are there any English-only speakers here in the room? Just because is there anyone who does not understand German in this room? Yes. Okay. So we stick to. Okay, perfect. I was just wondering, because sometimes we keep on talking English, and suddenly there's no one who doesn't understand German. For this reason, I just said a question, but it's fine. So we discuss the continue in English. So first of all, thank you for the invitation, for the possibility to comment a little bit. Maybe I should start with saying that one of the bit strange things about this podium, especially if you are talking about dialogue and of understanding, is that there are no women on this podium, and that there are also no women on the whole program, which is something I already told you, but it's indeed something which is seems to be a problem. Is also something, if it would be an American university, I would really have problems when I appear on such a podium, and afterwards I really would have to justify myself to the head of department. He would say, what kind of thing is this? We once decided we don't want to really go to these kinds of podiums. So that's something which is just for the record, but I think it needs to be said. Now maybe I've got a short question to Gennaro, which goes back to the first presentation we had. Somehow we always have the impression that philosophies and self-understanding seems to be something good, and seems to be something which goes on, which is promoting peace. I think it could as well promote conflict, because what the Polish ambassador promoted today was a very clear conflicting message. He had a very clear understanding of himself. He said Poland is the Christ of the people, and we are under undue domination of some other kind of EU people. And for this reason, what we really need to do is to overcome postmodernism, is to overcome the form of domination by EU in this institution, and to revive nation, family, and state. And he really showed he had some form of self-understanding, so he's some form of philosopher. So he really did this form of philosophy, and he was really open to discuss this. But this is a real conflict what is going on. So philosophy is not only something which is in a way good for peace and for understanding, it's part of a conflict, and a real conflict. So this conflict with his wife is with the constitutional court. So she really is someone where the EU says, now come on, you are unconstitutional. The constitutional court says, no, the EU is really unconstitutional. So that's not some form of peaceful understanding, that's some form of a real conflict. And maybe as Professor Gedinat is also sitting there, it seems to be not very helpful to just refer to Hannah Arendt and say Hannah Arendt said the populists are the ones who, first of all, have a bad understanding of reality, and moreover they are but simple-minded people. So that's simply a bad definition of populism. This doesn't really help us anywhere. So you do not really have an answer. Of course, you can say I'm just quoting Hannah Arendt, but then so what? We really want to discuss with someone, and I would have to say the Polish ambassador, he really had the upper hand. He had the better arguments. So you really have to come up with something if you want to stand up with him. You cannot just say, I'm just quoting Hannah Arendt. That's not enough. So we really have to go into this conflict, and that's what really philosophy is about. It's not about building peace. It's really going into the conflict and really in a way, trying to do something in this form of conflict. I would have to say something to you, but maybe I will leave it at this point to just to show that
you're sparing him. So
you're sparing him for later.
For the final. The conflict. I insist on equal treatment.
Yeah.
Because we need to no women, at least equal treatment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. No. Without yes, I will not say anything about the talk of my the Polish ambassador. I just want to say something very simple. I think that any honest attempt at philosophizing, leaves you disarmed, and that's just the way in which I see it. It leaves you disarmed, because you're confronted with something which is, it's in itself contentious, in itself a struggle, but namely that which, that the heart of the ethos is in itself contentious, but yeah, that's the only thing I can say to that. That's the only experience of philosophical thinking that I know.
Yeah, if you want, I didn't hide behind Hannah Arendt because I'm much larger than her. And there's always the difficulty, if you want, to enter into a problem. And if you have 20 minutes, you cannot solve the problem. That's completely impossible. It was important for me to show that there are possibilities, that there are means to cope with populism, and to present just the thinking of Hannah Arendt as a possibility, and to present it to everyone who maybe has tendency to have a critic concerning populism, because let's say the public discourse is quite incoherent concerning populism. And so I wanted just to present one point, one orientation, and it's up to everyone to take this or to leave it aside. And I think it is a realistic understanding of the situation here on the platform. But I preferred to risk to present such a thing than to stay and to keep in safety and just propose something everybody would have understood. I think we have also the duty to offer something to our public and to believe in the public that it's clear enough and intelligent enough to cope with that.
Are there any questions from the audience? Juan?
I want to ask a question regarding what kind of premise is the premise that culture is the cultivation of humanity in humans? Where does it come from? Or what is the knowledge that provides it?
Yeah, no, there was an implicit reference to what Jürgen said this morning. There is this in Cicero. There is this definition of philosophy as the culture of the soul, and the soul is, let's say, where the humanity of man lies, or we can. I was just taking it from there, but then making it my own. So then in the end, it's just me. I was taking it from there.
Why is culture the cultivation of humanity in humans? Why could not be? Why couldn't it be something else?
Well, no, but if you say why couldn't it be something else, you're giving a definition of it.
No, I don't define.
Oh no, you are.
Why is that? Why would that be the definition of culture? And not.
No, well, yes, no, I understand.
When you're referring to that, cannot it be the cultivation of evil in humankind, or the cultivation of animalness in humanity?
Yes. Well, the thing is that when we define something in the philosophical sense, so we say what we try to say what it is, and we just make an attempt at saying what it is, and this is what I tried in a very compact formula to ask why is it not something else is a bit of a strange. You can say, well, I understand culture in a different sense, and then we can start talking. It was not. It was just a suggestion, an offer. I was making a hermeneutical offer.
Everything in the argument was derived from that
Yes.
premise.
Yes.
So, if the premise is somehow, it's a premise that already takes a lot by being postulated.
Always. Well, always when we say what something is, it's a lot. As a matter of fact, there is nothing which could be more than saying what something is, or attempt. But it's always an attempt. I would like you to see this is the important point. I mean, the decisive point. It's an attempt that I made at saying what culture is in a very compact form, in a way which could perhaps allow us to make this short journey. If you say, so you can make another offer, and then I say, for instance, you say, why is it not the cultivation of evil? Well, I could say the evil, well, we would have to start talking. I would say that evil has a very, very important part in the cultivation of the humanity of man. Why? Because to cultivate the humanity of man implies to an acknowledgement. I could even say to be a human being is to acknowledge evil. To acknowledge evil and not to elude it and so on. The humanity of man is decided in how man is capable of acknowledging evil. We would have to say what evil is now. But I can say, tell me how you deal with evil, and I tell you in how, to what, not to what extent, but in what what your health is as a human being. So I could take that up, what you say, but we would have to now say, well, evil in what sense? So no, this would be a very, very nice start of a dialogue.
Maybe if I could come to your help, you could say humanity is the cultivation of cheating, because cheating is the origin of everything. Every animal tries to cheat. They try to be a bit bigger than they really are. They try to present themselves as being poisonous, even they are not poisonous. You try to sell something which is in a way, sell something for more, even though it is worth less. So cheating is really the origin of humanity. Everyone tries to cheat, and everyone tries to get the better end, and they really know why they are going to cheat. Go to every flea market, everyone is trying to cheat all the way. So that's the start of humanity, and you have to defend yourself against this. By the way, this would be the question to you. Where's the cheating part? So where's which seems to be very essential. You cannot make up any kind of history of man, cannot even the history of nature, of biology, without showing that there's always cheating going on. Everyone tries to get the better hand. Everyone tries to cheat each other. If you do not really have a theory of cheating, then you miss something which is very important, which is even in a way the origin of mankind.
So I will develop a theory of cheating. Yeah. But if you say the better end, you have probably a clear concept what is the better end for the human being. So
no, for the one who's cheating at a flea market, he knows what he wants to do.
But as you see, cheating has just a sense within a already established and fixed problem context. If you don't, and I mean this is the difference between I don't know, but this is human to establish a problem context or to find himself within a problem context. And only if you are aware of the problem context, you can say that something is cheating, and you can say that cheating is for the better end of someone, and for the and someone else loses. So the winners and the losers in society are just because there is an already existing problem context that we can become aware of, and philosophy probably can help to become aware of these problem contexts. So this is what we can try to do. So even cheating is not something that goes without saying. What does it mean to cheat? To say the truth or the false, we have to have a concept of truth. And so we have to have an understanding of what cheating is. We have to have a problem context, and we have to have a knowledge of what the better end is. Otherwise we cannot speak about it, or we speak about it without any sense. We just it's like just playing Lego, and we just.
But that's how language works. So the trick is always whenever we communicate, we already need to know some kind of notion or some kind of sign of what it is. Yeah. But I don't have to go to the flea market. It doesn't presuppose that I have to think about the Wesen des Flows and das Wesen des Marktes or das Wesen der Ware. And that's also not necessarily what philosophers need to do before they start thinking about the market, because it's something which goes on, and you do not really know the move of the other one. It's like in war, you do not really know what the other one is going to do. You have some idea what the other one is doing, but the essence of war doesn't really going to tell you what the other one is going to do.
Yeah.
We have another question.
Yeah.
My name is Christian Hatzat. I have been living for 30 years in the so-called third world. and I have the feeling it is maybe not unnecessary to throw some sand in the conversation between these four philosophers, where I can't find anymore my way back to the origin of why I'm here. Mr. Ivo, if you permit me to call you this way, it was, when I listened to you, it was a great delight to listen to you, but I didn't understand much what you said, which doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. But it does matter in the sense that there's this wonderful word, it takes two to tango. And I would say, when you talk about dialogue, you talked about dialogue, you need somebody who on the other side dialogues with you. But I would say somebody who, as you do, on such a high philosophical level, try to find somebody who dialogues with you. Apparently you need a whole bunch of philosophers. Well, you can do that between each other. But on my level where I am, I can't follow you. This is one part of the missing dialogue. The other part, which is more serious actually, is that I have discovered in these 30 years, living in Mexico and South America, in Asia, in Nepal, there is a way of thinking, of living thinking, alive thinking, which is so different from what you are talking about, you all, that in the end, I wonder how your aim, your idealistic aim of reaching the other is in any way meaningful outside of your plane of talk. The ambassador from Mauritius said in a very simple way, philosophy is life, my life. I would take, just as an example, Buddhism. Buddhism is now in the West, totally unaggressively. They don't want to convert anyone. They are just present to offer their services. We all the time want to convince others and sell them our services. This is Christianity in a secularized way. And I would say that what is happening today, which would, let's say, enable youngsters to be more in tune with the reality of today. And as a diplomat, basically, if you are not going with the French to sit around as an ambassador and talk about whatever French is interesting for French and for Germans, your interest mostly will be to be in communication with people or with, let's say, realities which are very different from oneself. And the only way to do this is just to bloody listen. They say, and not talk and talk and talk. Up here, we are accustomed in the West to talk, 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 and not listen. And I would say this is happening here today. Talk, 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 and not listen.
Let's change places.
Change. Maybe I have to say one word to peaceful Buddhism. If you just Google child abuse in Buddhist monasteries, Google wants.
I think we should leave it here now
Child
because
abuse in Buddhist
it's not.
monasteries and Google.
It's going
Google,
off.
Sorry, Konstantin. And Google Buddhist nationalism in Myanmar. So the idea that the Buddhists there, all those peaceful people, there's a whole literature on child abuse in monasteries. So it's not so very peaceful. Just for the second, just for the record, it seems to be important.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Which religion is faithful? Tell me which religion is faithful, for example.
Esteban, it's fine.
Thank you very much. Religion is a weapon.
Yeah.
It's a mental weapon to convince the people to do whatever they have to follow. And we are in the 21st century and we still have religions. This is one reason why humanity can.
I think please, Esteban, it's finished, the panel discussion. Thank you very much.